Hey, good morning. Christine Mattoon here from Mind Rewire. It is super early in the morning. We'll just leave that one off for a minute. And I wanted to get on real quick because I woke up this morning literally to like 5 emails and a handful of text messages to people that are just in straight up panic for different reasons, for all kinds of different reasons actually. And the first question I would ask is, what are you practicing? Like literally, what are you doing in your daily practice that when the panic shows up, when something goes wrong, when the thing happens, that you have been practicing that's going to lead you into a place that keeps you from staying in the panic or the issue or the turmoil or the trauma or the cycling or whatever it is? What have you been practicing? And I had a gal actually get mad at me the other day because I flat out told her, you're not doing your work. You are not practicing what I have told you to practice. In fact, you're not practicing anything that you know will work. And she has all kinds of tools on board. It's not like it's just what I do. She knows all kinds of different techniques, and she's flat out refusal to do any of it. And so the only thing I can say to a person like that is, what do you expect? What are you practicing? Where's your focus, right? And that would be the second part of this, is actually where's your focus. So the first part is, what are you practicing? The second part and the second key to this is, what are you focusing on? So many emails, so many text messages, so many people saying, my financial situation, my issue with my relationship, the thing that I have to get done with my kids, all of these really hard situations, hard things to figure out. And the question is, what are you focusing on? Because even in those situations, whatever it is that you're focusing on is what you're going to see happening around you. That is how the system that we live in works. Whatever you're focusing on. So, with a money issue, when it's a money problem, and you're focusing so hard on how much money you don't have, you're focusing so hard on the thing that you're trying to do and how it keeps getting derailed and undercut, even though you know it's going to work in the end, even though you've seen other people do it and it's proven, even though the potential is there, right? You see the possibility. And that's actually what we're built on, is possibility and potential. And so when you understand the possibility and potential and you keep derailing it because of what you're thinking, do you see the cycle we go in? So here's what I would say to you. Here's what I would say to you is, think about what you're focusing on. I'm focusing on how much money I don't have. I'm focusing on how much this hasn't worked in the past, even though you know it could work. And I'm a true believer that whatever it is you want, God wants you to have, right? His will for us is prosperity. The universe is built in prosperity. The universe is built out of an energy that gives and gives and gives and gives to itself, which you are part of, which means you're part of the universe. That means you're part of that energy. You are that energy. You have that built into your system. Does that make sense? And so if you do, because you do, the question becomes, what is it that you could focus on instead that will take you to that place to give you the feeling that will send out the message that's going to cause that thing to happen for you, instead of what you're focusing on now and the feeling it's sending out that's bringing you the return that you're getting? If you are not used to thinking like this because it's so backwards from what we're taught, it sounds crazy and it sounds confusing and it sounds hard, but I guarantee you it's not. And here's the simplest way to get there. Think of something that gives you the feeling of the thing that you're trying to get to, but then don't think of the thing. So let's use money for an example. I have a money issue. I need more of it and it's not coming in, right? This is everybody's problem across the board pretty much. And the problem is because it's so daily in your face. You look at the checkbook, you look at the register, you see that there's not enough in it. And so it's so daily in your face, it's hard to get to. The easiest way to get to it is feel a feeling that would be similar to the feeling of having enough money. And what would that feeling be? That feeling would be a feeling of comfort. That feeling would be a feeling of security. It would be a feeling of freedom. How can you procure? How can you manifest? How can you dig up? How can you conjure up? How can you create the feeling of security, of comfort, of freedom? Well, think of a place where you've been there before. And if you're like me, that's a hard sell, because in my childhood, I never had those things. I didn't have security. I didn't have comfort. I had no clue what freedom even. I probably didn't know what any of those things were. So you go to a place where it does feel like that for you. I have one go-to place that I go to pretty consistently, and that's the universe, and not like going and floating around in it, but like just looking at it. I used to go and sit on a picnic table up in the top of a peninsula called Boothbay Harbor, Maine. And on that peninsula, especially, I think it was like the middle of June or July, maybe the beginning of August, before it would just start turning and getting cold up there, you could look into the night sky and see the edge of the Milky Way, and you could watch shooting stars. They just like, it was crazy beautiful. And I remember just laying on that picnic table. You could smell the pine trees. You could hear the ocean crashing into the rocks on the shore. You could smell the salty water. Like, it was just clean. It smelled clean. It smelled amazing. And then you could sit there watching those stars. And it was so beautiful. It was so relaxing. It was so calming. It was so peaceful. It felt like freedom. Every time I look up into the night sky, to me, it feels like freedom, and I'm just in awe. And that fills up my bank account instead of emptying it. Am I making any sense? So I take that feeling, and I'm bank account of energy, right? Bank account of even probably money and prosperity. Prosperity in everything. Because in that feeling, I'm so relaxed and calm and joyful and peaceful and tranquil. Everything opens up to me. And all of a sudden my clarity comes. Everything makes a little bit more sense. And so I feel that feeling. I find that feeling first, and then I just stay in that feeling. If you have to think about the issue, stay in that feeling while you're thinking about the issue. Because I guarantee you it won't look the same. You can't be in a place of issue, having a problem with something, and feel a feeling of peace and have the same outcome. It's impossible. You can't do it. If I'm in total turmoil and saturated with cortisol and adrenaline and having an awful day, and I'm putting all my focus and awareness into how awful I feel and how scared I am for that next phone call, or how upsetting the thought is that I have to figure out what school to put my kid in, or how I did this thing on the stock market and it didn't quite turn out the way I wanted to, but I know last week I 5 times my money I put into it, and this week I'm scared to death to do it again because 3 weeks ago I lost that same amount. If you focus on the negative thing, you will see the negative result, because you're just adding to the drip of cortisol and adrenaline. You're adding to the negative and expecting to get something positive. It will never work. If I find a good feeling first, so I'm kind of backwards rigging the system here by finding a good feeling first, I hold on to that good feeling, and then I gently walk myself back into the issue, but my whole focus is on the good feeling. It's not on the bad feeling. I have to stay in the good feeling. If I start edging into that negative feeling or that fear or whatever it is, I back myself out and I just plant myself in the goodness of the feeling I had. And I just stay there. And then just start to notice around you what starts to change, because the issues will come back up, because they're daily issues. They will come back up. The goal is to stay in that better feeling through any of it, right? And you have to train that into your system, and that's part of what I help people do. But if you're one of the people that I'm talking to right now who's in that place, think about what I'm saying, and then find a different feeling, and then saturate yourself in it and start to practice it. Every morning when you wake up, go there first. Put a sticky note or something on your wall to remind you to go to that feeling before you even get up. It's very, very important and vital to what you're trying to do. I bless you. I hope this helps. Thank you for being here.